Hey there everyone, Mazarok here, and today we are talking Neltharus. This is an updated, so you want to tank for Neltharus with an updated route that I am a lot happier with. There have been some changes to the dungeon as well, because of course there is. But yeah, so I'll be doing kind of the stuff afterwards. So this first pull, we open up with the 2 Wardens. And then what I do here is I make sure that I have threat on them, go in and tag these ones, just to kind of get in a quicker pull. Now, some of this route is not recommended for fort bolstering, only because those Wardens clap. And there's a couple pulls in here that you really don't want to be bolstering. But yeah, so I just go here. Now, there's a couple of things you want to watch out for. The Wardens do a frontal, so you want to try and aim that away from the party. And they do the Blazing Slash, which does hurt you quite a bit. As well, if you have any sort of Dispel, so if I'm on Vengeance Demon Hunter, I've got my Purge. Those Ore Elementals start with the Absorb Shield that you can purge off. This is something I was really bad at doing in the dungeon. And also, so now we get to the next pull, which I pull the Pat and these guys in. There is a skip that I am utilizing here, so this is something to kind of watch out for. That Molten Core is something that you absolutely want to stop, and Molten Conflagration as well. There is an Explosive Concoction stop in here that you kind of want to worry about as well, but it's really not too bad. Really, it's these Thaumaturges that you really want to get in the Magma Conflagration and the Molten Core. You want to stop that. Now, see, the Explosive Concoction, that's basically a ground targeted Swirly. It's really easy to avoid, so that's not really a prio stop. Obviously, stop it if you can, I mean, whatever, but it's not super priority. Up next, I go and I pull all of these over. This is a really fun, massive AoE dungeon that I have a lot of fun playing here. I really like this dungeon. As we kind of go through. Here we have, again, more Thaumaturges, more Plunderers that you kind of got to watch out for as well. But really, there's not a whole lot here. This is just basically kind of a free whack fest with some stops here and there that you want to try to be stopping as much as possible. One of the things that infuriates me here is that Imprison doesn't work on these because they're giants. Yeah, not fun. But oh well. Really, again, so as you can see here, there's very little group damage going out. Once you start getting the higher keys, it's probably going to change on how this approaches, but right now in a 16, that's really not too bad. This was a full pug run. This is my first full run in a day, and I was still getting used to the Demon Hunter tier at this point as well. Like, this is like my second key with the 4-piece, which, yay, I got 4-piece. But this run went really smoothly with only a couple of deaths and everybody helping out on Afflicted, and it was really nice, actually. I feel incredibly tanky on Vengeance, and I am going to be doing my Vengeance guide soon. A couple of things I want to test out, a couple more talent options and things like that. But this pull is a lot, like, you know, again, these Plunderers don't do a whole lot. The Thaumaturges are the thing to watch out for with that cast. And again, we get more Ore Elementals. We have a Plunderer over here, and then we have, I think it's a Thaumaturge as well. So here I just wanted to make sure that I got more threat on the things I need to get threat on. Boom. Oh, it's a, yeah, Plunderer and a Thaumaturge. So the Magma Conflagration, watch out for that. Stop it where you can. Not too bad. But that Molten Core kick, very important. So here it kind of it went off, and as you can see, these Ore Elementals are kind of all exploding, and we're getting a lot of damage. So you really want to make sure that that Molten Core kick is absolutely kicked, stopped, whatever you can every single time. We did have a really good healer who bounced us back really hard with only 1 death on this pull. But that's just simply because we missed a kick, and I take responsibility for that. So that was on me. I should have kicked it. Oh well. I think I even had my kick up, maybe. Again, and like I said, that Explosive Concoction, really not bad at all. But this is a fun AoE first portion of the dungeon, and as you can see here, we're getting we're getting a large portion of our count already at 29.7%. With lots of fun AoE. Everyone is well, like, I'm above at 108 here. Like, it's really not bad. And coming up to Magma Tusk, we can't cheese this boss anymore. So this is something that we do have to watch out for. Really, this is bait the charge as best as you can. You're a tank, and you really have to hope that everyone else also baits the charge. keep him out of the lava pools as much as possible. It's unfortunate with some of these camera angles, but he's a really big boy. He's a really big boy, and it's not always easy to see. So here I saw that the puddle was coming in. It was just unfortunate the puddle was on me, and the charge was on me as well. But you really don't want him absorbing any puddles there. Now there, I was quick on the draw, so I was really able to make sure that he didn't get any more. But then there's another one on me, and the moment I get away, he lava sprays me as well. And unfortunately, that's just kind of how it's working. And then he's going to charge someone else with kind of how that bait worked. It's unfortunate with how this played out, but we did keep the stacks to a minimum. They did bait the charge away from any pools, which is all that you can ask for, and kind of just DPS him down. They did nerf some of his abilities as well, because we were all really cheesing him. But this is not just a tank fight. I have seen people be like, hey, why are you taking, like, you gotta tank him better, you gotta keep him out of the pools. And it's like, dude, you're baiting all of the charges through all of the pools. I can't do anything if you guys bait the charges through the entire boss arena where there's pools. Like, there's only so much, right? But that's how you do it as a tank. Like I said, this isn't to go into the full nuance of everything. This is to kind of go over my route, chit chat and talk. The problem, what are some of the problem packs and stuff. Now this one here, I really do like to triple pull this pack. Those Tame Phoenixes are worth a little bit of count, really not much, but it's something you got to watch out for. The Hunters do a Binding Spear, which puts a swirly on the ground, which will incap anyone that's in it. Just make sure it's not on you and you're out of it. And they do a charge, but aside from that, Sigil of Silence is really, really strong here with the Tame Phoenixes. The Tame Phoenixes can become a little overwhelming, but they're very easy to deal with lots of stuns and everything along the way. While you just kind of keep moving forward and going through. And then again, he does that Binding Spear. And the Tentacle guy didn't get hit. Up next, now this one here, this is not a pull I would be doing on bolstering, because you do not want to bolster that mini boss. If you're going to pull more into it, what you're going to want to do is wait. Unfortunately, I didn't have full threat here, so you can see I lost some threat to the dragon dealing 240k, which I don't feel too bad about. Dragons are ripping threat off everyone. But here I just tried to get a little bit more, make a nice little pull. This mini boss doesn't have anything you got to worry about. Just kick the burning roar, or don't be in it. But just kick it. There's not a whole lot to kick here, and don't be in the eruptive crush. Up here, this is where I like pulling a lot in this room. One of the things that I did not do in this dungeon very well is the explosive heads. So give me a second. Okay, so right here, there's these explosive heads where the DPS or healer can grab it and chain through the mobs. I didn't do a good job here of allowing my party to utilize them. What I would do is I would bring the pull right here. This is where I would bring the pull, allow someone to take this, go around, and really do it. But they were a little bit slow coming in. I noticed I was losing a little bit more threat. And while I did try and go a little bit around, it's also your DPS and everyone has to do it. But yeah, the trainees do a Magma Fist frontal that is something you can just not be in, or you can stop. They also have that Enrage that you can see right here. And I don't mean the Raging Enrage, but they do have their own Enrage called Fired Up. So that's something you should watch out for as well. Soothe when you can, but it's not the biggest deal in the world. And then there's also the Mending Clay cast that you want to be sure that you're not allowing to go off. Nothing good happens when Mending Clay happens, right? So as you can see here, I kind of lined it up enough where they could use them, but they didn't want to. There's also another one right here. So let me pause right here. There's also another one right here. So here where I pull all of this. Again, I did a terrible job at even allowing my DPS to do it, but they didn't, so okay. And then I could kind of just tanked it here where I should have brought it more over there and allowed them to use that to the best of their ability. It's a really solid little dungeon weapon thing that you can use. These are just, the bone tenders here do that bone toss, which is something you got to watch out for. Stop when you can, but there's nothing very dangerous here that you super have to worry about. You know, like you can see, we're not taking buttloads of insane damage, and we're kind of just going through. Now, in some subsequent pulls, I've ended up pulling more here as well, make it into a big 10 pack. But the healer I've noticed him. I found the healer's comfortable zone when I was going, and I was noticing that 6 to 8 was enough, and I think 10 would have been a little bit too much. But I was also getting used to the tier. And there are some moments in this dungeon where I felt squishy because I was testing around some weird builds and some stuff like that, where I was like trying to see how much offense I can get without, you know, messing around with my defense too much. Vengeance is a lot of fun. Vengeance is a lot of fun. But these are the hunters, so binding shots, watch out for those. Really not a lot of complication, just some of these things really do hurt in higher keys, so use something you want to watch out for. Chargath, the Bane of Scales. This is definitely a fun boss when it doesn't bug out. And if I'm not mistaken, these guys did a really, really good job at dealing with this boss. That Dragon Strike cast that he does right now, he leaps to a player and he places a bleed. This is one of the things where if I have Bop, I will save it for when my healer gets the bleed. So that way they can just focus on keeping everyone up alive without having to worry about healing themselves. It's just, you know, nice little bit of utility whenever you can. This is also really, really good for evokers. So here you can see you get the 3 chains. Boom. The dot is going to come up right here. I'm going to let it drop, break another chain, avoid the swirlies while it's happening, and here the dragon is going to help me break the chain along for the third one. If you have a healer that can deal with all 3 and they say break all 3 at once because they're going to be running a big cooldown, that's something you can do, but I would not plan on that every time. It's a lot of damage, and I found that the easiest thing to do is just break one at a time. It's a lot simpler just to go around and have fun. But yeah, that's pretty much the whole boss. Avoid the frontal, Dragon Strike, bleed, break chains. Not a whole lot of mechanics to this one, but it has bugged out. Sometimes, like, nobody gets chains, and that's real fun. Because if you don't break the chains, what's going to happen is when he's done the big AoE kind of floor cast. So here I accidentally placed myself where he charged, and we did end up breaking 2 chains, and you can see 2 chains at once, how much damage is going on. This healer just pumped on a dime and was a really big help. And to go along. Now, after that, a lot of people go into the corner to continue on in W. I go back, because this used to be a lock skipping skip right here, where you needed Ceravite keys or something different to open this door. This is now fully open after you kill that boss, so you can just run upstairs and not have a problem. If you are taking the things over to the left in the hallway where there is trash, you can actually get a food buff that gives you movement speed. Now here I put down markers to get people to walk around the Sleeping Hunter, because it's one mob and it's just a waste of time. And there's a really easy count along the way. As you can see, we're going up to the second boss. We're going upstairs now with 51% count, and there's a lot of big mobs up here. We're going to be talking about those mobs. I pulled them here. I have seen some skips. I have seen a lot of things that you could do and kind of work around there. But we did them, so I can talk about them. Here we have the iron torches and the lava bearers. The lava bearers are the ones that drop the lava pools on the ground. They're not CCable if I'm not mistaken, but the iron torches are. And they do the moat of combustion, which is a priority kick. You absolutely want to make sure that doesn't get off. And they do the frontal scorching breath, which can be stopped or avoided. That's the really nice thing about this dungeon, is a lot of this can be stopped or just avoided, right? Which is really, really nice. Now, in this pack here, the bone splitters, as you can see, he just did the piercing marrow charge, which is a nasty charge that if multiple of the bone splitters target one person, that person can easily die. So try to offset their cast a little bit and try to keep them as stunned as possible. They do the dragon bone axe. It's this axe toss that leaves a bleed. Here it went on the shaman, and you can see it is a very nasty bleed that you never want to see kind of doubled up. So dragon bone axe, prio stop, piercing marrow, try and stop it whenever you can. It's just going to help the healer along the way. You can easily skip this Iron Torch commander. He's absolutely garbage to face. I don't like him at all. He just kills more people than I would like. So then here, like, I love the pulls in this place. I love the pulls, like 7, 8, 9 targets, lots of incoming damage, lots of fun to be had. Here we have the iron torches with the mode of combustion stop that you want, and the scorching breath frontal. Like, see here, we just kind of avoided it, not a problem. The blacksmith does hit a little bit hard. He does like reverberating slam and things like that, but nothing that you super have to kind of, especially while you're learning the dungeon and learning the route. I doubt you're going to be doing this in a high enough key where everyone's going to be like, you know, oh, you've never run this before? If at the point you're doing this in a high enough key, you already know the route. You already have an idea, right? This is obviously for people that are still learning how to tank and still learning how to do this. Here again, we have a bone splitter, so these are things you want to stop the dragon bone axe toss. We have a lava bear, and then we have those melts on the lava flares. These are a lot of things to try and stop wherever you can. CCs are very, very good in this dungeon. All around. Very, very solid. And one thing I really like about this route is it's very easy. It's simple. There's lots of AoE here, and everybody loves a good AoE dungeon. Hence why everybody loves Freehold, right? So here we just have 2 lava flares and the blacksmith. I have since this, now here, I kind of wanted my healer to have a little bit of a break. We kind of pushed him a little bit on the last 3 pulls. So I just wanted him to kind of get back and have an easy pull. Just to kind of recollect himself a little bit, because we are coming up against a difficult boss, even though it is Fortified Week. This is probably one of the nastiest bosses out there. Reverberating Slam, that's something you want to watch out for, so just go from there. So here I split up these 2 pulls, but if you drag them along the side with kicks, you can actually just pull these together, and they're not too bad. When you're comfortable with these 2 pulls separately, try them together by kiting them together and chaining them in. And not something I'd be doing on bolstering week, but this is something that you can pretty easily do on most weeks and not too problem. Like if it's a tyrannical week, you really shouldn't have a problem bringing these 2 together and having fun. Just make sure that the flares are getting kicked and being moved along. Up next, we have the blacksmith boss. Forge Hammer, Forge Storm, something. I'm so bad at names. I'm so bad at names. Let's see what his name plays. Forge Master, that's what it is. Forge Master Gorik. So here I pick one side of the room, and I always tend to stay the same. So I start aiming my back towards this here. Now you do have to be conscious of the pats here, because as you may notice, we did not take any monstrosities. Those guys are banned. They're really not fun. The tank mechanic here is called Heated Swings, where he pushes you back. So you don't want to charge in, you don't want to leap right back in, because when you land, he's going to come and slam that circle and leave a permanent puddle on the ground. So you want to be keeping that away from the platform as much as possible. What I do is I aim my back and keep going around clockwise. That way, all of my party has this side of the room that they can easily utilize and not have any problems going around. The Blazing Aegis cast is something that people need to spread for, and we'll leave these X swirlies around, or these plus swirlies, depending on which way you want to look at it. And again here, see now, here I miss my mark. I usually go a little bit closer to the slam, but the boss is also at 24%. This is a fortified week, so I don't need to be as tight with my heated swing placements. But this is really, watch your feet. Be conscious of your healers as well. This is really, really tough on them. Off heal wherever you can to kind of help them out. Because as you can see, the Forge Storm cast is when he smashes the shield and does a lot of big AoE. Now, as the boss dies, we're going to swap over to my warrior here, because that shield right there, I'm going to edit the warrior in. The warrior is, I forgot to grab the shield. I'm a blacksmith on all of my tanks. I forgot to grab the shield, but with 25 points of blacksmithing, you can grab the shield. So the last portion of this video is actually going to be, we're going to finish it on my warrior, just so I can show you guys the shield on the last boss and how to utilize that. Now, in certain dungeons, with certain pulls with friends or whatever, I have snapped these down and have had no problems with the lava bearers and then pulled them in before. But these guys do like to throw a bunch of lava pools on the ground. And in more pug groups, unorganized groups, and things like that, you can pretty easily overtake the room where you pull them and snap them down. So it's really your choice whether you want to tank them up here. We have 18 minutes left. 76% is done. I know we have 3 more pulls left. 2 if I'm feeling cheeky, which we'll talk about that in a little bit. So there's not a whole lot more reason to rush to still have this timed. This is just something that I was like, okay, we're just going to kind of have the breather after the Forge Hammer Master, let everything come back up. You can see, like, you know, we're missing a couple little things, and that way we can go on. In tyrannical weeks, I would absolutely snap these down because it's not too bad. Now, up here, we have the Apex Blazewing and 2 Wardens. Now, if you remember the Wardens at the start of the dungeon, they kind of slap. They hurt a lot. They do the Blazing Aegis, which is really, really tough. and everything like that. Now, someone pulled threat on me here. I started pulling threat on me on here on the Warden. So I didn't get to place them. I like to bring them down here and really place the frontals where I'm kind of happy, because you get the overlap of the frontals with the pushback from the blaze wing. So here I kind of just sit still, have a good time, tank him in the corner here, and I'm fine. But you do have to watch out because you can fall down, so that's not something you really, really want to do. Now, these guys absolutely fucking cranked on this pull, so it's very, very easy. Now, if you are feeling cheeky and you trust your party and they are going to be able to do the things that you can do, you can pull this Lavamancer and Warden into the next pull here. But since I knew halfway through this run, I was like, this is going incredibly well. I am actually going to be using this as my updated So You Want to Tank Neltharus. The Lavamancers are new to this pull, right? They do the Molten Barrier cast, which gives them a gigantic shield that makes them unkickable, and then they start the Molten Army cast. Molten Army gives you these lava spawns that you can see came up right behind me. The longer that cast goes off, the more spawns are going to happen, and those spawns actually do truck. You do not want too many of them. I ended up with a dungeon where no one even like worried about the barrier and were prioritizing the other one, and it was not good. So something you want to watch out for. Now, this pull here has a Warden, a Lavamancer, and an Apex Blazewing again, and we're at 93%, and this is going to give us 100% count. Like I said, this is a very easy route where you can press W with lots of AoE and lots of more opportunities as well. So while I was doing this dungeon, I was also looking and seeing like, okay, I can actually add 2 mobs from this pull into this, from the next pull into this one, and then I can add 2 into a couple more down the line into the next one that I'm going to do, and reduce the amount of pulls here and have a lot of fun. But really, that all depends on what are your kicks, what are your stops like, and are people actually using them? This is something you're going to have to judge. Because if you're not using CC here at all, you're going to have a really bad time. But yeah, we were just cranked it out and had a lot of fun and just kind of went in. Now, all right, so here we're back on Warlord Saga. I did swap to the Warrior because, as you can see, my Warrior has this extra action button, which is the shield. Sorry, my Paladin, not my Warrior. Oh, look at that. Like I said, all my tanks have blacksmiths. So when she does the Molten Gold cast, she's going to put these golden puddles down. These little gold puddles, you can go through and you can click them. Look at that. Boom. Done. There's a golden puddle right there. Which will give you another extra action button, which you can double up. Every time you grab up a Molten Gold item, the magical implements, you are actually going to get a curse. Now, this is why you want a curse to spell in this dungeon. As well as when you grab the shield, you can actually multiply how many Molten Golds you have as long as they're not the same one. Like, you can't have 2 of the exact same ones. Some of these are usable on the move, some of them are not as well. So here we used, I knew I had the wand and the shield, and you can see it does the flare thing as well. I've been using this on the boss to help burn that shield down, but I'm pretty sure that there's a couple of pulls in here on heavier fortified weeks where I could do a lot of good AoE damage with that. So proper placement on that is still kind of fun to see. But yeah, so aside from that, the Magma Shield is going to come up. You want to be using those magical implements to be burning down that shield as fast as possible because it deals raid-wide, party-wide AoE damage. She does the Raging Ember. So here I try and help stun it because when the Raging Ember moves through the room, you have that, that flame puddle right there. Here as well, if you have that orb, you can actually move while casting it. Get rid of the Magma Shield as much as possible. Watch your feet. And crank as much damage as possible as you can. That is kind of basically the whole fight, as well as watch for a frontal. So that is So You Want to Tank Neltharus updated. Thank you everyone for watching and listening. There is new merch out there. There's tons of good stuff. Please like, comment, subscribe. There's a Discord link, a Twitch link, streaming all sorts of it, all sorts of things. And I have a coffee right here that I'm going to enjoy because I just talked for 25 straight minutes. We'll see if 25 straight minutes makes it into the final edit. But thank you very much for watching, everyone. Happy tanking. I hope you guys are excited for the rest of the series as well as I am.